Hello students, after having some idea about the concept of intelligence, naturally you would be interestingly waiting for how can we measure it. There are ways in which we measure intelligence. Let us have a detailed report on how can we measure. The importance of intelligence can hardly be doubted. In fact, intelligence is required almost in all dimensions of life. In the areas of education, business, professional trainings, multiple life skills, and social adjustments, a sufficient amount of intelligence is needed. Such being the significance, yet there is hardly any agreement among the experts, psychologists, and scientists on the meaning of the concept. The term intelligence is taken as a complex phenomenon which cannot be measured directly. However, it is possible to infer its characteristics from organisms' behavior. It is exactly like inferring the nature of energy from heat, magnetism, and electricity. It is therefore human behavior which in different areas of life may exhibit various properties of performance directly hinting at existence of intelligence or its absence in varied degrees. One more difficulty with the measurement process is to deal with a phenomenon which is not one single unit. There are number of intelligences, so how to get one single score to denote an overall intelligence of an individual? Let us now talk about intelligence tests. Historically, the history of construction and administration of intelligence tests began with the work of Alfred Binet in 1904. In fact, Binet was considered the father of the first practical measurement of or measure of intelligence in the year 1905. Binet was assigned a task to devise a strategy for education of mentally retarded children. After concluding his commission, Binet advised the French government to run separate classes for the children who could not profit from the regular classroom instructions. Binet believed that intelligence has four major components. 1. Understanding. 2. Innovation. 3. Criticism. 4. Judgment. With this premise in mind, Binet, along with his colleagues like Theodore, constructed a 30-item scale reflecting all the above-mentioned factors involving test of remembering, understanding, balancing, resistance of intimation, and the correct use of language. The scale is applicable to the children from age 3 years to 11 years. Binet identified a set of 6 questions appropriate to a specific age group so that a unit of mental measurement for that age group is fixed. He continued the modification of his scale till his death in 1911. In the year 1916, Terman modified the scale at Stanford University, USA, and published the same under the title The Stanford-Binet Scale of Intelligence. In the year 1937 and 1960, further modifications were made. Then another popular scale is Wechsler's scale. After working with great luminaries in psychology like R.S. Woodworth, Freeman, Carl Pearson, Theodore Simon, David Wechsler got interested in the field of intelligence, and right from 1932 to late 60s constructed a number of remarkable scales of intelligence. Some of these tests are Wechsler-Believe Intelligence Scale 1939, Wechsler Intelligence Scale for Children 1949, Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale 1955, Wechsler Preschool and Primary School of Intelligence 1963, Wechsler scale of children consists of two parts, that is verbal and practical. Part first consists of 6 tests and the other of 5 tests. Each part measures a special kind of behavior. Various tests are those of verbal test. Verbal tests includes information test, understanding test, remembering test, arithmetic test, similarities test, vocabulary test, practical test, that is images order test, complement images test, free cubes test, compile thing test, codes test. The Wechsler scales are applicable to the children, adolescents and adults. It however admire that the minimum age where we can apply a Wechsler scale is to under 7 years. After having a brief look at the various scales of intelligence, whether we are talking of Alfred-Binet or we are talking about Wechsler scales or we may talk of Cattell's scales on intelligence, one important and significant question would be, once we measure, what is the outcome? Can we numerically present the data on intelligence or traits or behavior in which we find that behavior connected with adjustment, behavior connected with abilities, behavior connected with performance, or behavior connected with classroom requirements and performance of children? Can we have a single measure? The answer is yes. We can numerically put the information that has been obtained from intelligence tests, put into a numerical form and way, give one precise score for an individual who has gone under the test of intelligence. Like for instance, if you are interested in knowing the height of a people, of a person or an individual or a student, what you actually do is you take that inch tape and start measuring. After you did, you ask the people or you tell to people, look, the height of this particular individual is 5.5 feet. Or if you are interested in knowing the weights of different people, then you have a machine that is weighing scale, and once you are up the scale, you find there is a quotient which tells you whether you are 56 kg, you are 100 kg, whatever you are. So you get one single score to a trait known as height or known as weight. So the argument is same. Can you have a single score for intelligence or not? Psychologists, scientists, researchers did work on through theories and concepts on intelligence, but finally they came to conclusion, yes, there can be a score given to the individual so that you can precisely know how much a person is intelligent. Is he just above average? Is he below average? Is he just average? To which direction he goes so far as the intelligence is concerned. Therefore, we may turn to a concept which is known as the concept of intelligence quotient. Intelligence quotient is the score one gets on an intelligence test. I was talking about tests. So you get a total score on the intelligence test. The term IQ was originally coined by William Stern. William Stern again is a psychologist who did coin this term intelligence quotient. Statistically, IQ is calculated by a formula, very simple formula. This is IQ is equal to MA by CA into 100. MA stands for mental age, CA stands for chronological age or actual age. So mental age concept can come. You see how many scores you have, how many points you have scored on an intelligence test. And that gives you an exact idea of how much intelligence you are possessing. In the current literature on intelligence, the raw score of norming or normalizing sample is defined as IQ 100. So for a particular age group, he gave the IQ of 100 and scores each standard deviation SD Up or down are defined as 15 points IQ points, greater or less. Again, this needs a small clarification here. That is 15 points by standard deviations up the IQ, that is 115, 100 plus 15 or 100 minus 15 can show whether you are up the norm or you are down the norm. By this definition, approximately 90% of the population scores on IQ tests between 70 and 130, which is within 2 standard deviations of the median. Since early 20th century, raw scores on many populations have been rising at an average rate that scales to 3 IQ points per decade. This phenomena is called the Phelan effect. Dr. Phelan, who is a New Zealand psychologist, he did his research for 20 years on intelligence, and he found that each decade there is an increase in the IQ points of people. Whether you take the racial considerations, you take the cultural considerations, or you take the group consideration, you find that there is an increase. Means the test that was constructed say 20 years earlier was given to a set of population 10 years earlier. Between those 10 years and today, we find that there is a 3 points increase. And this 3 points increase, perhaps the test that seemed to be difficult 10 years back now seems easier to present generations today. Therefore, they score more on the same test. And this scoring more on the same test is given the name of Phelan effect. That is Dr. Phelan who worked on this. Whether we are conscious about the kind of increase in IQ scores or not, but this is happening. And I personally feel yes, because of the information around things, because of looking into the tests, pattern of the tests, test items, we find that they are more or less information loaded items. And once you find information loaded items, people who are having some information 10 years earlier and people who are now having information 10 years later, later's information quotient must be higher. Because the things that have come to us through media, whether it is print, it is electronic, it is whatever it is, you find that the score that children today are getting, they are getting more scores on information loaded items than their earlier counterparts 10 years earlier. And if this is true, then Dr. Phelan argues that throughout the world there can be this differentiation seen, that yes, test scores get affected gradually by changing the pattern of knowledge, exposure of knowledge and acquirement of knowledge through ages. I personally have a doubt about such people where you find that they are not in the educational institutions as such, or they don't get the benefits of media, and therefore maybe that you shall have to have different scales of measuring their intelligence. Though we have an order, there is a tradition and convention of non-verbal testing schemes for such people who otherwise cannot read or write things. And even there, it is yet to be seen if Dr. Phelan's effect can be found even that quotients where non-verbal tests are being applied. With these words, I find that we have done a brief amount of exercise and work on the measurement of intelligence, but then still this is a very significant question, can finally intelligence be measured, because intelligence is something which is not directly accessible to us as weight is accessible, as height is accessible, as any other thing is accessible. Therefore, we have always to rely upon inferential statistics, inferential argument or inferential explanations. And with these words, I thank you all.